Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, why I endorse these four candidates. Who are the four candidates? Well, these four brave individuals are who I'm endorsing to replace incumbent judges in San Francisco Superior Court. Now, I must say that the reason why I'm endorsing these four individuals is when I first read that four San Francisco public defenders um, filed papers to run uh, to challenge four judges, something struck me. And I must say that it was started by the gentleman on the far left. I think he got these all together from left to right. Is public defender Quazam Meloff, Maloof. I probably butchered his last name. Nikki Solis, uh, Phoenix Streets with an S, and Maria Evangelista. These four public defenders have more than 50 years of service in the San Francisco Public Defender's Office. Now, 3 years ago, I wrote an article about a case where Quizam, the one on the left, Quizam Maloff, was the public defender. And in his assessment of how his client was being treated is the reason why I support all of their candidacies for San Francisco's June 2005 election. Now, let me tell you a little bit about me. I am a prison reform activist for the last 25 years. And prior to that, I spent 10 years at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall as a Bible study teacher in the maximum security unit. I taught the Bible for 10 years to teenage murderers, rapists, and gang members. And so I have um, followed the lives of some of these individuals after I left the juvenile hall, where they went on to the youth authority or prison, and constantly keeping an eye on criminal justice. And we need a change. And I am not telling you anything new. But the fact of the matter is my 35 years dedicated to this subject is partly why I endorse these four seasoned public defenders. But the fact that there's a history in criminal justice of railroading, and I honestly believe that these four public defenders got together with the best intentions of saying, we can't do this anymore. Now, I can't say this for sure, but if you notice the gentleman on the left, I read where he would actually be taking a pay cut to become a judge from what his current situation. Well, now, if that's true, don't sound like he's trying to do something to pad his pockets. He's looking for justice. And I appreciate the fact that he had a enough is enough type attitude towards the many clients that he has brought before the bench, only to see them get injustice instead of justice. Now, I will say that I am not blind or dumb when it comes to supporting public defenders or defense attorneys. By law, all people are innocent until proven guilty. And I know that there's a lot of people who like to, let's say, criticize public defenders because they know their client is guilty, and they act like, no, he didn't do it. Well, yeah, that does get old. I agree. But I would rather 10 guilty people go free than one person be innocent and get convicted of a crime. And I know that's a personal thing. But the fact of the matter is, as I've said before, nobody gets away with anything. But the fact that we do need some dramatic change in our criminal justice, these 4 individuals spotted something that they said enough's enough. And I can't be more proud of the fact that these people have stood up and they said, no, we're not going to take this any longer. Now, the San Francisco Chronicle did an endorsement deal, and they basically praised these 4 individuals for their experience and dedication in the public defender's office, but they weren't buying their reason and for challenging these current judges on the bench who are up for re-election. I truly do not believe it's just the fact that they were appointed by conservative governors. Some of the judges that they're trying to replace are Democrats. Well, I don't believe that it's a Democrat or Republican type issue, but I surely believe that there's some racism behind the uprising here. Now, I might also add, many years ago, I read of a riot up at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall. And I had sent a letter to the editor about this story, which I read in the Chronicle. I believe it was the Chronicle. And in my letters to the editor, based on my knowledge of what goes on up at Juvenile Hall, my response was, prisoners don't riot because they're being treated right. And I know they're detainees technically, and they're not in prison. I understand that. But the fact that prisoners don't riot because they're treated right. And I'm not saying that I endorse rioting in prisons, but the uprising that I see with these 4 seasoned lawyers in the criminal justice system, I applaud. Hey, they may not be perfect, but I can guarantee you that that says nothing to me based on what is going on now. 10 years ago, my nephew, one of my nephews, was arrested and on a phony charge. He was standing at a bus stop and the police came up on him, said he looked like a suspect that they were looking for. They arrested him, they hauled him in, despite the fact that he said, nah, that wasn't me, what are you doing? Well, my nephew can read. And so he read the police report. Knowing that he was innocent, he was all the more interested in reading. And so when he read the police report, and he was confused at why they were trying to get him to just accept a plea deal. The person that they were looking for was probably 100 pounds more heavier than my nephew. They talked about his hair. It was totally a different color. What the clothes the suspect was wearing didn't match. And I'm just making this up, but it's to illustrate it. If my nephew had on long pants, the suspect had short pants. That's how the description went. And so he called me. Unc, they're trying to get me to plead to something just to get me and let me go. And I said, well, did you do it? He said, no, I didn't do it. I said, don't give in. Hang in there. The truth will come out. Well, he hung in there, and it was not easy because he wanted to hurry up and get out of there. They were trying to get him to plead to a lesser charge and then cut him loose. Well, how is that justice? It's not. And the district attorney was forcing this issue, but when you really look at it, judges who are just overworked, I'll agree, just trying to run through people through, well, when they see black people, my goodness, oh, he must have did it. And so they quickly sign off on stuff like this. Well, the end of the story was they ended up dropping all the charges against my nephew. Well, then you look at how constantly this happens. And the issue of these 4 lawyers seeing enough in their 50 plus years of defending individuals, if the person was guilty, the punishment should fit the crime. Now, the situation where this Qizam Malov was representing his client was this story that I've used on this program before, where 4 people were in a fight. But let me describe to you how this all happened. This couple, black man and his white girlfriend, are coming out of a restaurant. And they're walking up Mission on 8th Street to Market. And a white transgender and her companion are walking fast up there. And the white transgender bumps into the black man. Now, as the black man feels disrespected, all he responded was, man, some people don't even say sorry. And the white transgender turned around and shouted back at him, Get out of my city, nigger. So the girlfriend of the black man, whose name is Dwayne Kemp, she poured doused coffee that she had brought out of the restaurant onto the white transgender whose name is Samantha Halsey. And so this Samantha Halsey then goes to punch the black man's girlfriend. Well, this guy's defending his girlfriend now, and he ain't worried about who's transgender or not. So he starts wailing on the transgender. And the word fag is used. Well, then the police are called while they're in a scuffle. The police separate them all, and they get information on what exactly caused the fight. Now, keep in mind, when you have this initial police report, the police are taking facts as they came. So the black man and his girlfriend said what happened, their version. And the white transgender did the same. Stick with me here. The black man and his girlfriend were arrested on the spot and charged with a hate crime. Now, personally, I think that it was a mutual combat and nobody should have been charged. But there was an injury. And so I guess the police had to do something. However, this was not a felony case. And so this the public defender, he's trying to defend his client, and the DA offers him this deal. We'll let you out immediately if you plead guilty to a hate crime. Well, it was December, and he wanted to be out, spend Christmas with his family. And so he took the deal. His girlfriend also took the deal, which also was a hate crime charge. And they were told, we're going to, let you out. Well, they did. And this Quizam Maloff, he said, no, this is a terrible deal. Don't accept this. He called it BS. But the fact is Dwayne Kemp wanted to just get out of jail. So he took the deal, and to his surprise, a few months later, one of the judges, and I must point out, is not one of the judges that they're challenging for their seat on Superior Court. But one of the judges said, wait a minute, you have to spend some time in jail. And when Dwayne Kemp wanted, he said, well, wait a minute, that wasn't part of the deal. And so they reprimanded him, and they said, no, we are not going to allow you to take back your plea. You know what's going on here. And so the ending, Dwayne Kemp spent 9 months in jail on a sham, a bait and switch plea deal. And if that's just one of the cases that got under Quizam Maloff's skin, I can guarantee you he probably in the last 10 years probably had 100 of them. And so for that situation, and dare I say, in the preliminary hearing, people from the LGBT community was at the hearing defending the transgender. And it even got more bizarre. Before all of this settlement issue happened, let me describe to you what happened in the preliminary hearing. In the preliminary hearing, the alleged victim was called a man by Qasem Mala, or he's referred to him as a he. And so the LGBT community got all up in arms over it, and they demanded that Jeff Adachi, the public defender, the head of the public defender's office in San Francisco, issue training and an apology for the conduct of a member of the public defender's office. Jeff Adachi agreed and he apologized. Well, if the LGBT community is so up in arms because somebody does not refer to a transgender in their chosen pronoun, why is it that they did not really look too much further into this and realize that this whole situation started when a white transgender called a black man a nigger? Never mind the fact that bumped into them and didn't apologize. Here's one other thing that happened in the preliminary hearing. The so-called victim, Samantha Halsey, she showed up, and with no one urging her to leave, she got cold feet and just left before she was asked to testify. And nobody knew that she just got it and just left. And so they got Dwayne Kemp to make a plea when he didn't know that the victim wasn't even going to testify. Now, people, if that's not an indication that this system is not only broken, but rigged against black people, I don't know what is. And so for the four who have claimed racism in the San Francisco courts, you don't have to sell me on that. I believe it. And I'm sure that there's many other stories. But the fact of the matter is why am I endorsing these four candidates? Because they are rising up. Just because they can't take it anymore. And they see what is going on that is not right. And they're willing to do something about it. Now, I'm going to follow these four. And even if they don't succeed, because there's people who are, status quo-ish. They just don't want to see these seasoned judges kicked off the bench. But for these four to be challenging the seats of four appointed judges, I'm saying, San Francisco, we need to rise up and also support their efforts, because they were in the courtrooms. We weren't. They saw something that was so egregious, they banded together and they said, enough is enough. We are going to do something about this. And I'm saying that San Francisco, we need to not be so weak when it comes to some who have dedicated their lives, I mean 50 plus years, in the San Francisco Public Defender's Office. I believe Quizam was in there 17, and the woman next to him, Nikki Solis, 21 years. And though I'm not sure of the other two, but it's more than 50 years total. These are not people who are just looking to make a name for themselves. If you know anything about judges, that's the last thing that they're interested in. There are 51 Superior Court judges in San Francisco, and I bet you can't name one of them unless you were in their courtroom. But they are fed up. And I myself have been fed up for quite some time, and I support their candidacy because I know what these people are doing is right. They may be rookie judges and make mistakes after they get on the bench. Well, I'm not going to toss them off just because of that. But I will say that when you have somebody who's willing to take a stand far as criminal justice is concerned, I think that you need to really look at the fact that, well, what are they protesting? This is people who I just can't get enough of. You see something wrong and you want to do something about it. I have a saying: the only thing I love more than justice is the freedom to fight for it. And our democratic process allows for us to challenge through elections things that we believe are not right or could be better. And I recommend highly that you look into the service of Quizam Maloff, Nikki Solis, Phoenix Streets, and Maria Evangelista. Look at their record. Not that they are going to be unblemished. I don't know. The only one that I know of is this Quizam Maloff. But I'm trusting that he knows what he is doing by saying, we've got to get up and we got to do something about this constant racism in San Francisco courts. Now, I can imagine once these four succeed knocking 4 seasoned judges off the bench, the head judge of San Francisco is going to give them the worst jobs, the worst cases possible. I can imagine, because that's the way politics is in general, and I definitely can tell you that's the way it's going to be in San Francisco for quite some time. But we need to keep an eye on this, because I'm telling you, what these people are doing is the right thing. How they're going to be treated if they succeed, 1, 2, 3, or all of them, is, hey, we just have to know that's the way the game goes. But they put up with so many years of injustice as public defenders. I say they can handle the shenanigans that they're going to be thrown at them until they prove that they are good judges of facts. And I definitely can't wait till June 5th to not only cast my vote for my ballot measure, Proposition I, but I'm going to skip everything else just to get to these 4 to make sure that I got those 5 in case I drop dead in the ballot box. Until next time. God bless.